I wanted to make a video to talk about VH1's Rock of Love with Bret Michaels because Lacey Skulls and Heather Chadwell from that show have recently started their own podcast video series where they'll talk about Rock of Love and life and everything in between. And that show really influenced who I am as a person, which might sound silly because it was just a reality show and there are many like it, but in some ways it was one of a kind, and I wanted to just make a video to talk about how it influenced me. So when I was growing up, I only listened to 80s music because that's all my mom listened to, and I was only ever interested in what she was interested in. So Poison was my favorite band. And when I found out that Bret Michaels of Poison was going to get his own show and he was going to find love, I was just so thrilled. I couldn't believe it. I thought this show was going to be the best thing ever, and I wasn't disappointed. It truly, truly was. I know that it was a really short series, but it felt like a long period of time in my life. I was 13 whenever Rock of Love was on TV, and I was just constantly thrilled to tune in every week to watch it. And so what happened was immediately I thought Lacey was so cool. And eventually my crush on Bret Michaels became my crush on Lacey. And at first I thought, oh, I just want to be like Lacey. Like, I think she's cool. I admire her, she's a badass, but I realized down the line, closer to the end of the series, that my crush on Lacey was a crush, and that I am queer. And so I actually dated my first, internet girlfriend shortly after, shortly after watching Rock of Love. And so anyway, I had a crush on Lacey. I thought she was badass. I wanted to be more like her because she didn't take shit from anyone, and she cared about animals, and I really cared about my dogs at the time, or my dog at the time. And I just loved Lacey, and I loved Heather too. I mean, obviously, Lacey was my favorite character in the show, but I had a deep love for Heather. I felt so heartbroken for her on the episodes where she was heartbroken. I could tell that she was probably the only person there that maybe loved Bret, and I felt for her because I constantly was a victim of unrequited love at 13. Anyway, so here we are down the line. I'm going to be 27 this year, so it's been many years since Rock of Love aired, and I look back on what it influenced in my life. So because of Lacey, I started to listen to Lacey's band, Nocturne. I am a proud owner of all of the Nocturne CDs because they did not have their songs anywhere, so I had to buy the physical CDs when I was in middle school. Nocturne was the first band that I liked that wasn't my mom's music. And your own taste in your own things sort of develops right at the end of middle school age. You're 13, 14, 15, you start to have your own taste in things. So the things that you like then become a huge part of your personality. So I felt changed by Nocturne. I had this little secret world that no one was part of because no one else knew Nocturne. But at the same time, I wanted someone else to know Nocturne, so I ended up befriending another kid who I thought was as weird as me, and I was right. We were the outcasts. And he liked Nocturne with me, and we actually had to do an art project together, and this was from our freshman year of high school, and it is obviously a play on Society, but right here in his handwriting are some Nocturne lyrics, so I'll never get rid of this. This has existed since 2008. So anyway, because I showed my friend Nocturne because I showed my friend Nocturne, he showed me his music. And his music was Marilyn Manson, it was OTEP, it was Amanda Palmer, Regina Spektor, and eventually all of those people became part of my personality. That time of my life created who I am. And I can't say for sure that the same things would have happened in the same way if I wouldn't have came upon them through Rock of Love and through Lacey. I probably wouldn't have found out I was queer until later because I don't know who I would have had a crush on. I don't know what celebrity, character, musician I would have realized my feelings for. I don't know that I would have found the bands that I found if I hadn't started with Nocturne. And the music that I listen to now is so important to me, and I've had so many amazing experiences because of those bands and those musicians. And, you know, I can't give all of the credit to the show because I put in a lot of work into who I am and a lot of decisions, but it's true that the influence is there. It totally mattered. It was like a milestone in my life, this short reality TV show series. You know, a lot of people would consider it trash TV. I just loved it. It was the best thing in my life for a while. And as a kid who really had no friends, who was bullied and ostracized for liking other things that weren't traditional, MySpace was my safe haven, and I was able to be friends with the Rock of Love girls on MySpace, connect to them. And, you know, they weren't real friendships, but it felt like a little place to be away from my world where I knew that I didn't fit. And to continue to talk about like Lacey's influence, I loved her character from the beginning because, I mean, in some ways I knew that that part of her personality was real. I knew she was playing a character. And I also had to play a character every day. I had to put on a mask every day to perform being who I was, even at age 13, because I knew that I didn't fit. I didn't fit into expectations. I didn't fit into society. And I really related to evil characters, not because I'm evil, but it just sometimes evil is more logical than good, and I've always felt hyper logical. And so there were just times where I felt more like evil characters, and so Lacey just felt so like real to me. I was like, this is who I want to be. You know, I want to be someone who does good for animals or does good for the good guys, but knows that the people who people think are the good guys are actually the bad guys. Like the popular girls are not nice. And so that really influenced me because I was able to really like solidify a part of my personality because I wanted to be like that. And you know, I eventually made YouTube videos of pictures of Lacey, and the one YouTube video I made was to Lacey's song Shallow from her Nocturne days, and that video has over 100,000 views and still to this day gets comments about how Lacey was an evil bitch. So you know that Lacey achieved what she wanted to achieve because 13 years later, her evil bitch character is still part of pop culture that people care enough about to seek out on YouTube and let me know that they still think that she's a bitch. And it's just so funny because, I mean, I wanted to be like that. I wanted to be the person who stood out the most in a group of 20 girls hanging out with a rock star. And I wanted to stand out for good reasons and for bad reasons. I didn't want to be one of the pretty girls. Lacey's beautiful, but I didn't want to be one of the pretty stuck-up bitches with the fakeness. I wanted to be authentic, and I knew Lacey was authentic, and I knew Heather was more authentic than all those girls. And it was so important to me as a child. And it might seem silly now because when you look back at the stuff that you liked when you were a child, I mean, does any of it not seem silly? But I will never discount how seriously I took it when I was 13 and how it has led a track straight to where I am now. And, 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with autism, so I found out very late in my life that I'm, a certified neurodivergent person, and it totally explains why I felt like I didn't fit in and why I took solace in this completely absurd TV show that 13-year-olds maybe shouldn't have even been watching. And because of this show, I think it really influenced who I am today. And maybe I would have became nearly the same person that I am today had I not had this period of time in my life where I watched this show. But I think a lot of the stuff would have came about in a different way. And maybe so much later that I would have missed certain opportunities that I've had. Maybe I wouldn't know things about myself that I know now. So I'm forever grateful for VH1's Rock of Love with Bret Michaels, and I'm forever grateful for Lacey Skulls, and I'm grateful for Heather Chadwell and MySpace. And I think that you know, it was never pointless to care about things. The way that people didn't take me seriously when I was heavily invested in something that seemed as silly as a reality TV show. But I learned that it's okay to like anything you like as much as you like it, as long as it doesn't hurt other people. And so I hope that because of how accessible everything is now in this media, and how we can make videos and we can talk to each other and we can tweet each other, and you know, there is a huge gap that was bridged, and now nobody's alone, even if they're alone. I think now it's okay to like things, it's okay to be different, and it's encouraged for once. And finally, people like Lacey and people like me have a platform to be themselves, and we aren't always going to be accused of just being a crazy bitch for authentically being different or interesting. I guess women get accused of being crazy bitches for literally just being interesting. So I don't know if Lacey and Heather are going to watch this video. If you do, I really appreciate the time that you've taken to watch this video. Obviously you see my dogs are in the background. I have 2 Chinese cresteds. I've had a total of 5 dogs, and 3 of them have been rescues. So anyway, I just wanted to thank you lovely women for being your authentic selves, and I'm excited to see what the future episodes of your podcast will entail. And I'm just very grateful for the time in my life where, as insignificant as it might seem in the grand scheme of things, it really mattered that you made the decisions that you made, and you were who you were, and you made those choices. And so because of that, I owe a little tiny piece of my abundant soul to you, and I have so much love for you, and I hope that you both keep growing and glowing and being your wonderful selves. So thank you.